James Carter had always been an average guy. He worked a 9-to-5 job, paid his bills on time, and lived alone in a small apartment in Chicago. But one day, things started changing. It began with little details. His coffee cup was in the wrong place. His phone had messages he didn't remember sending, and strangers on the street greeted him by name. Then it got worse. His bank account showed transactions from cities he had never visited. His landlord claimed he had already paid rent, twice. And the worst part? His best friend, Michael, looked at him blankly one morning and said, "Who are you?" James laughed. "Stop messing around, man." But Michael's face didn't change. He had no idea who James was. Panic set in. James rushed home, grabbing his ID and birth certificate. They still had his name. His phone had hundreds of contacts, but no one recognized his voice. His office building had no record of his employment. His landlord swore he had never lived there. James Carter was disappearing. He checked his social media. Deactivated. His email, passwords didn't work. His driver's license, no record in the system. It was as if he had never existed. Desperate, he went to the police. The officer listened, nodded, and then said, "Sir, according to our records, James Carter died in 1998. James felt his stomach drop. "What? But I'm standing right here," he shouted. The officer frowned and turned his monitor toward James. On the screen was a newspaper article. A young man named James Carter had gone missing 27 years ago. His body was never found. James stumbled back, his mind racing. How could this be possible? Then a voice behind him whispered, "You weren't supposed to come back." He turned, and the world went black. No one ever saw James Carter again. But sometimes, late at night, his old friends swear they see a familiar face in the crowd, watching, waiting, trying to remember who he was.